about 30 minutes after the stream ends.
True, but like,
I tried to run Hammond to disrupt the
if
support
people
line.
would flank here, it's fine.
They
It's fine.
kept our team getting picked by their snipers.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What time is it there? It's 6 p.m. 6 p.m.
Who do they have?
And yeah, at 8 p.m., which is in 2 hours, I'm gonna be online.
Ash half. Lucio's low left side.
Everyone drop. This way, this way.
Yeah.
We need to rotate.
A long way, but okay. Should well.
Oh, you can listen to it live. In announcements, in my Discord, you can see a link to the Twitch channel, which is like Kick Tripod is the name, and I will be live on that channel. I'm just gonna tweet out that I'm live right now as well. Okay, there we go.
On the right side.
Right there, Ryan. Jump. I'm back in.
Play in this corner. Play in this corner.
Hey, Footmob.
Ryan's low, Ryan's low.
Let's not chatter.
Lucio,
How are you
Lucio,
doing today?
Lucio, Lucio, tap.
Sorry, no personal.
Hold on, you run.
I can see.
Ryan's low, Ryan's low.
Let's not chatter.
Lucio.
Let's speed up this one a bit. We can do 1.5. Bit lower.
Lucio, tap.
Sorry, no
Oh, 1.5 is way too fast.
personal.
Hold on, you run.
I can see Grant.
That's
pretty good, Drag0n0us. Yo, Flowers. Thank you for the host, by the way. Thank you.
Go right, go right, go right.
Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple.
Behind, back left, there's Ash.
Right.
Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple.
So, one thing. Let's see how far back this is.
Back in.
Play,
I'm
come
weak.
in.
So right now, there's no Discord up. And as then, you want to look for the Discord on the enemy, like main
Play in
tank.
this corner. Play in this corner.
Ryan's low, Ryan's low.
Let's not chatter.
Lucio, 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 tap.
And I
Sorry,
think,
no personal.
I'm not sure who is playing the Zen, but as soon as enemies are in the line of sight, for example,
Ryan's low.
right now, instead of going for right clicks, go for a Discord and also left click. That way you're trying to find more damage. You're still taking cover, but you also get a Discord for your team. And since you're holding right clicks, you need to take cover while charging up the shots, and that makes it so you don't get any Discord on anyone, basically. And the Discord should be on someone at least, just so you utilize everything Zen has to offer.
Lucio, 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 tap.
Sorry, no personal.
Hold on, you run.
I can see Grant.
Go right, go right.
So go for one right click and then just go left click all the time, since the enemies are fighting with your team right now. And then before fights you can do more right clicks, but during fights it's better with left clicks. And when someone is flanking you and you would have protection like now, and let's say that there's a tracer coming in here, then you can use your right click. But if there's no one that's an immediate threat against you, you can just left click.
Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple, Ryan's purple.
Behind, back left, there's Ash. Is that Hanzo?
Hondo and mini.
I'm always half HP, guys. Keep running like that.
Yeah, the Discord is still not on.
Maybe you need a Lucio.
We're running free support, but I'm always half HP. I'm holding my shield up.
So with Zen, since you don't have as much healing as Mercy, Anna, Lucio, Moira. The way you compensate that is with Discord, by doing more damage and winning the sustained fight by simply... You simply make the enemy healers less useful, and that will make the enemy tanks, enemy DPS less useful as well. But if you want to compete when it comes to more healing, if you lose the sustained battle, it's not because the tanks don't receive enough damage, it's because the healers out-heal everything, basically. And yeah, that's where the Discord comes in.
We can't be doing that.
Then Lucio's like Reddit Lucio, he comes in, damages and slows that.
Get rid of that.
Try and wall climb a bit, so you can scout what's around the corner. And be ready to escape as well, so that you're close to the wall, not to walk too far out. You don't have to be right next to the Reinhardt, because your aura goes out here. Like, you see the outline. So you can be a bit further back, more in a more safe spot.
Take on.
Ryan, I have bubble tree if you want to drop.
Above me now.
On you.
Above me now.
On you.
And let's see here.
Ryan, I have bubble
I
tree.
want to see the grav here.
Above me now.
So this grav is kinda hard to do anything against once she's in with the bubble on herself, but you can scout out the Zarya by wall jump, like wall riding or not. You just jump in one location, then you sit here, see what's happening, maybe go around the pillar. And if you see the Zarya push up really aggro, you speed or you amp up and then you speed out, and you call just speed out, speed out. Neither of our healers are really experienced on Lucio. Oh, that's totally understandable. Like Lucio is kind of complicated in the sense that you have to decide basically when you want to be appealing for your backline, and when you want to help the front line. You can do damage, you can speed, but usually you want to use Lucio for his speed. And if you notice that the enemy team has a Lucio, for example, even if they don't have a Lucio, let's say that they engage, then you speed out if you want to disengage. And if you have heroes like McCree, let's say heroes that need pocketing like McCree, if you have Zen, what else? McCree, Zen, Bastion, you know, all these heroes that are kind of squishy on their own, you want to speed out. But if you have Soldier, if you have Reaper, even Reaper you want to speed out and then go back in. But heroes that can take care of themselves, then you don't have to focus on speeding out, you can amp heals instead and just kite. You want to stay alive as Lucio, sort of like Tracer, but you don't do damage. Instead you stay alive and be annoying, don't be killed. Sounds kinda what's it called? It sounds kinda like a meme, you know, don't die. But it's really important to not die on Lucio. Like, that's the top priority. And then you don't have to make the calls during the fight. It's more like you plan what ults, you keep track of what the enemy uses, and it's because you have a ton of vision as Lucio. You're not supposed to focus on one character like Reinhardt versus Reinhardt or Widow versus Widow and so on. It's good that you guys took an early fight. Early fight at the gate means you'll have another fight around
One's
back,
up on the bridge.
and then you have a third fight right at the end here.
I'm gonna push up right now. Ash, could you get up there?
So as Lucio, you want to speed the team, and you don't have to contest high ground, because someone else can do it. They can walk all around, usually a DPS, like Hitscan DPS does it. And you as Lucio, instead, you save your speed, go in with Ryan, and you want to take a fight outside bank. And bank is right to your right.
Give no bubbles. Give no bubbles for both.
So if you take the fight again here, A better thing for the whole team would be to go high ground instead of going low ground, because since the cart is in the middle of the street here, you don't have to go low ground and contest under the bridge. You just walk up the bridge, no one takes spam, and you can speed and then drop on them. And that's a solid fight. And then you take the fight here, let's say that you win it, then you set up on high ground again. If they come low ground, you just drop on them. And it's the old school way of playing Reinhardt on Dorado, second point. A ton of players play here, like in rank, they play under the bridge, they go low ground all the time, and it's just a bad habit. And you want to go low ground if the cart is past this line, or if the cart is in this zone or here, then you want to go low ground. And yeah, use your speed for that to get in and fight them. And yeah, if you lose here, the cart will push up probably here, almost to the end of second point, but you will have a third fight. And 3 fights on second like point, that's pretty good. Even if you lose all 3 fights, that's pretty good, because second stage of Dorado is kind of hard to stop a snowball on. It's kind of like Numbani, and it's the same with attacking. Like if you lose the snowball momentum as attackers, it's kind of hard to get it going.
Heals.
I'm coming up on grab.
Alright, Ash died up
Hey, grab
top.
now.
Grab now. Nice one.
Huge grab, go.
Now you missed the opportunity to take the fight, I think, in my opinion. Because, well, actually it's kind of fine, but the thing is, if your healer wants, your healers or backline wants to heal your main tanks, they have to be in line of sight here. Let's see, they have to be in line of sight like this. Yeah, in this zone or whatever. And if the enemy supports wants to heal their main tanks, they can be right behind the payload. And it's kind of easy for Hanzo, McCree, whatever they might have, to just go for your supports. If they have a Genji with Blade, they come from high ground, someone might flank from the windows here, and it would be better to let the payload push up a bit until this corner. You want to fight around corners basically. So if you miss this corner fight, you take this corner fight.
Let's see you guys.
Because if you lose the fight here, they're still gonna cap.
Good heals, good heals.
Block me.
Ash on feet.
I'm gonna bomb here.
I have a bubble for you.
Bridging.
Zarya's half health, left side. Zarya can knife, Zarya's one on payload.
Lucio's one.
Beating.
Hey Peak, I'm the Lucio on Cheeselich team, who you always say has a positioning like Zenyatta. Love your VOD reviews, thank you for doing that. Thank you for what's it called? Thank you for the awards. And if you have VOD reviews of your own, like, just send them in. I'm glad you like them.
Ash behind us, left side.
On a half.
Guys, use your ults. We're gonna lose it.
What? Oh, thank you for the bubble.
No problem.
It's
Get right.
It's just supports, guys.
Hondo. Bubbles on your end.
Nice.
So yeah, if you take the corner fight here, your supports can be out of line of sight from the enemy backline,
Alright, enemy for this fight.
and that way they don't have to die.
Mandy.
Here, come on.
Nice.
Nice.
Big leap.
Or they don't have to die, but they aren't as easy to kill.
Try to speed boost you. Cannon.
Bubbles on you now.
As Lucio, you want to be with Reinhardt and Zarya, so that you're ready to speed them out. You don't have to be on high ground, because there's no use for you on high ground here, basically.
Nice.
Got it, Papa.
It's good.
Dead. Ash killed me up top.
And it's not that you die or anything, it's more like you can't use the speed, and you can't use the amp heal, and if you drop, it's gonna be easy to focus you down, because you fall from the sky and people see you and then they just target you. Instead you can play behind the corner and line of sight.
Oh. We already used it early, right?
Yeah, before the fight. Yeah.
Only you're defensible for grab. Don't use it for anything else now.
Yo, on left side, up top.
Get the honor then.
Lucio's here too.
He's up there.
Lucio's one. Lucio's one.
You got away.
Try and call out the speeds or amp heals. So you say amping heals or speeding. That way your team can play aggro with you, they can fall back with you, and it's kind of easy to coordinate.
On his head.
Pull back, pull back. Go, get him.
Lines left side.
Go.
Let's see here.
Kasana's just
You got away.
Ana's up right side now.
This is a 3 versus 2 fight. You have one respawner coming. You might as well go for point here. Look at point and you wanna think, can I contest point? Because they just capped second point and they are free pushing. Or they are basically trying to snowball right here. So even if they die right now, they have someone pushing cart and they get free push. So they're basically stealing time from you by fighting here. And it's two really beefy tanks. Tons of HP, tons of peel. And US Lucio, you're not needed right now because it's so close to your spawn. And yeah, try to go look for the payload instead. And if you can contest, if it's only one person, you just run up, you dodge shots, you just stay alive. You don't have to win the duel. And you buy time for your teammates basically, and you cancel out the free push or the snowball.
He's just standing up here, guys.
Push.
This guy was at 4.2k player playing Reddit Lucio for them 90% of the match. You mean the enemy team?
Low.
Nice. On his head.
Pull back. Go, get him.
Lines left side.
Go.
Go, get him.
Lines left side. Nice. On his head.
Pull back. Go, get him.
Lines left side.
Go.
Okay, so enemy Lucio.
Go, get him.
Lines left side.
I have no idea what he's doing, so he's basically suiciding because he's running with healing around, and he's not even wall riding. So like I don't think he's a Lucio main at 4.2k because a Lucio main at 4.2k would travel much faster, and they wouldn't run behind a Reinhardt that pins.
All spread out. Guys,
Yeah,
pull
I'm
back.
really lost at that. I have grab.
So as Lucio, you wanna climb up here, or you just zigzag up with your skates. Then you can also try and contest around this corner. You be annoying with the bridge. You do loops. There's like movements. What's it called? Not movements. It's more like kiting, but you touch the payload for a second. You move out, go up on the bridge, drop down, and you just rinse and repeat.
Let me get our
I know.
others. G and our others.
Okay. You guys here.
And yeah, call out your speeds, because if you call out speeding, then your team will know, okay, we can't engage deep, we can't do quick engages, we have no speed for 12 seconds.
He's grabs in.
Hanzo, top line. Hanzo's on the bridge, guys. I'm down.
We have no heals right now.
Lucio, get this hands up.
And I would suggest like bind scroll wheel to jump. I usually use scrolling down, and then I use spacebar at the same time, and I alternate between A and D, and that way I can just wall climb on one location like this. It's really easy, and you basically have to. It's like a rhythm game. You touch once, then you leave the surface, you touch again, and you leave the surface, and you touch again. Yo, by the way, fandoms, how's your day so far?
Guys.
Lucio's half.
One's over shatter.
Give a bubble.
Just like walked up.
And you only leave the surface for
We are playing
a split of a second, or like a
after the Lucio, he got away to the showdown.
Do a split up.
not a whole second, like just briefly, for one frame
But
even.
you guys are holding around the corner.
No, we were just spawning in, dude. I need you to put this in.
I'm just skipping forward here.
And the Zarya, they're just getting even more.
With this comp, Lucio isn't really needed because Tracer doesn't need speed, Widow doesn't need speed, and if you want to use Lucio, for example, it's good with triple tank. It's also good if you're playing Moira, but if you're playing Ana, you can go for Zen, and you can go for let's see, you can go Mercy, you can go Moira, you can stay Lucio as well, but it's gonna be hard for you to build beat because you're gonna have to be close to your tanks if you want to heal, or you have to do a ton of damage. In both cases, you're gonna be easily targeted by enemies since it's attack, and you're usually gonna be on low ground. Yo, Fabe. How's your ranking going?
It's not like
Or like climbing? Would Ana Mercy be, or Mercy Zen be better? Or Ana Zen? Ana Zen is gonna be the best, because that's a ton of healing and a defensive ult. Lucio is good if you can get beat, but it's kinda hard to get beat with Lucio in this comp. And Ana Mercy, it's just too little damage. You won't have enough damage unless the enemies mess up and don't heal. And Mercy Zen, that's fine as well, but Valk isn't really strong when it's only split on 2 people. You will usually want to have 3 people or more for like the links, otherwise you don't get as much value.
that's the front for that
Hey
guy.
David,
The DPS.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah,
I just
Brian's
started today.
Get attacked at front line.
Hands up.
Yeah, that's how it is, Fabe.
And then.
The shield, guys. Focus that
No,
shield.
Widow's behind.
Widow's up top, right side, right side.
Widow's behind.
She's
Right
one.
there.
There.
Here. Nice, good job, dude. Huge. Nice, push up. Speed in.
Hands up top.
Yeah, Ana Zen is usually common on Dorado
Nice,
run up.
nice, good double. Huge.
when it's 2-2-2.
Right,
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 right.
low.
Nice.
You can switch the Zen on second point if you want to go for Lucio, but that's like a
Hands left side, hands
playstyle
left
thing.
Zarya's right side.
If you don't like the low ground.
He's getting pocket again.
Running hard.
Heals.
Get out here. Gosh.
Widow's one. There.
Nice, good
We
job.
all just like hard.
Hands one.
Zarya's right side.
Gary,
She's
he's
full
left.
hard.
He's left. Hands left.
So yeah, definitely need to practice wall riding a bit more, and all you have to do, I think, is bind jumping to scroll, either scroll up or scroll down, and then use spacebar, and also get the rhythm of it. So you space, scroll, and then AD, and just practice in a custom game with no bots, nothing, and just ride around. Try to get the flow of it, because it becomes really easy to kill you otherwise.
Hands one. He's getting pocket again.
Running hard.
For example, you want to be able to wall ride here and shoot down like an attack helicopter, or like a COD kill streak.
Heals.
Get out here. Gosh.
Widow's one. There.
Nice, good
We
job.
all just like
Now today is a short stream, only for 1.5 hours maybe, and then I'm doing a tactical crouch, the Volumel and Yiska
Hands
podcast
there.
with a kick tripod as well.
Hands one. Nice.
Thank you. Nice, I'm pushing him right now.
I'm gonna get some heals.
I'm no bubble friend.
Pushing guys. There. Two down.
I'm on right.
Wait, they don't use center. They already have it. There we go.
Payload guys. Payload.
Widow up top.
Push your Zarya. Push your Zarya.
I already mentioned calling out the speeds or like amp, but it's something that you should do as often as possible as Lucio.
Could you speed us then?
And then you stay on payload as well while
I have
while
ult.
the rest of the
I have
team
ult.
is pushing up.
You guys ready?
Yep, right behind you.
Great. Speed in.
And you don't have to engage with beat here. You should be on payload so that Ana can use nano, and if you lose next fight, then you have beat to fight with. But since you need one on payload, it's gonna be a 6v5 or 5v6, I mean, and it's gonna force you to use beat.
Now.
Zen's one. Bottom left side.
Up behind you guys. Up behind you.
And they use trans, So I guess that's why you counter with beat, but you don't have to counter with beat. Because even if you die here, you still get card push, and then they have no trance for next fight, but you have beat. And they might just stall out now. Like if they choose to just stagger and buy time, contest card, you lose by using beat.
Got the Ryan. I'm pulling him back. I'm pulling him back.
Are you dead?
Widow's up top, right side, Widow up top, right side.
Ryan one. Dead.
Great,
With
come up
Lucio?
into the free
Sorry,
zone.
come back. Ryan corners.
Stay behind shields, stay behind shields.
There's a point. Keep open. What is half? What is half? They're tracing.
Where's the Widow at?
Up top on bridge.
Okay, I see it.
I was affected.
You want to be on right side, because if Widow hooks to the other side, she's gonna headshot you. If Hanzo pops out here, this is a common spot for Hanzo to be, he's gonna headshot you. It's easy for Zarya to grab, and you just deny a lot of damage by being on the right, on the left side, not right side. So hug wall instead of trying to duel enemies. Be ready to boop as well. This Zarya, she's gonna go for grab. You can already tell by her body language.
Can I get some heals, Bunny?
Camping heals. Just
Widow's up.
And there's the
Stop,
grab.
she got Anna.
She does the exact same thing. She jumps in, she's alone, and she goes for a deep grab.
Pull that out early.
And she can do that because there's no diva, so there's no one that can punish her. So what you have to do instead is, like, you can go diva, but
Yeah, they can.
you can also just
Widow's up top, still careful.
Oh, she's in the bottom. She's bottom.
look at the body language of the Zarya, say grab is coming, and then if she gets one person or two persons, that's okay grab, like one person is a bad grab, but you can counter her, you can also boop her. Like boop her up so that she misses the grab and just mess her, like aim.
Okay. She's in the top.
Mess with her aim.
Can you speed it?
Who's get ready?
Guys,
Grab
both.
it.
Who's get ready?
You wanna wall ride or like jump on this pillar, because right now you're playing Lucio as almost as a tank.
Both snipers are just looking at me from upright.
And for example, you want to get behind Ryan's shield while he's in the grab, and you can be ready with a boop for when he's out of the grab and bounce him into the payload. Your Ryan can stun or swing, whatever. And you also mess up the shield placement.
Widow's dead.
Oh, not shield placement, but like protection.
Enemy
On
now.
the top right, on their side.
Can you enemy
Camping
now?
heals, camping heals.
I'm not getting enemy now. Please, please.
For me, the hard decision with Lucio is when to speed the tanks and when to peel for your main
Yeah, you're
healer.
on the other side of cart.
Yeah, I know. I also mentioned that one. Like, that's the hardest thing is Lucio. And I usually speed the tanks when... I usually speed the tanks if we have some hard CC combo, like Shatter, like Rav. And if we don't have that, and we're playing Reinhardt Zarya, or Monkey Diva, whatever, and the enemies have a hard CC combo, or maybe they look like they want to engage on us, then you save speed. But if you have the upper hand and you have the better engage, then you use speed yourself. And I guess for peeling for your Ana or whatever, you have to look at her positioning, and you have to think of how many times has she been flanked. And if it's a repeating thing that she's being flanked all the time, maybe she says it or maybe she doesn't. You can still figure it out by looking at the kill feed, and also just look at is Hanzo going for her, is Widow going for her, and then you can challenge the Widow, you can challenge the Hanzo even. You can just boop him, then go away, of course, you're not gonna all in on him. And if it's a Tracer or something, then you just pocket your support, stay with them. But it's like pattern it's like you have to think in patterns for the support
Guys, they're all...
Go right side, go right side.
that you're gonna appeal for.
Widow's up top, low, half.
Where
Hanzo's low, up top.
Playing by yourself, okay?
9.
I'm going after Diana.
I got hit.
The downside of going here is that there's no one that can deny the damage from high ground here. You might you should be going low ground, in my opinion.
By Hondo.
You can also, here's an alternative.
He charged.
You walk up the stairs and you go on the ledge here and you then all jump around the corner. And take over high ground. Well, once you're on high ground, like on defense, you just drop on them. Drop on cart, take the fight there. And you have Reinhardt shield, so you deny the spam from, or the shots from Widow and Hanzo.
Hanzo's low, up top.
Playing by yourself. Okay?
9.
I'm going after Diana.
I got hit by a Hondo.
Acting for you, Widow.
Yeah, they're just both watching out for me.
2 and 1.
Yeah, meanwhile, instead of running, crouching and so on, you as Lucio, you can climb up here, you can go into the window. Up here, into the window. Go out, challenge the Widow. Widow is gonna have a hard time like headshotting you from a really short distance, so you'll have the upper hand. You make her use her hook or drop down or go anywhere else, and then you just come back to the team. How long stream?
Widow's down.
It's gonna be until 7:30. Yeah.
That's Arya. Nice. Big.
Just the Widow.
Careful, Widow top right. Widow
No,
top
right side
right.
up top. Hanzo's up top on the bridge.
You still
It's
there?
on the ground. It's on the ground.
Widow's still top right.
Careful, Ryan.
Good line of sight.
I have B here.
Watch out for shatter. Watch out for shatter.
Be careful so that if you beat right here and someone is in front of the payload, they won't get a beat.
We lost it, we lost it.
And you had 2 minutes on the fight, so you could save beat as well, since your tanks were low, and it's kind of hard to evaluate beat.
There's like 3 of them focusing me. The Hanzo, Ana, and the Widow.
It's totally fine that you use beat. It's totally fine because it's like a hard decision, since you didn't know if Anna could heal
Just take
or if Anna was in danger and all that.
Hanzo's on the mega.
Still with her Ana.
Alright, Widow.
Ryan's looking for a shadow.
You and Anna should be moving up right now.
We'll have to dive in. You see the Zen over there?
Hanzo's behind.
Yeah, I see the Zen.
Right,
Ready?
Ryan's around corner. Careful.
No, over here. I'll just here.
Ana's one.
Sorry, no friendly. Sorry, no personal.
Hanzo dead.
Flare monkey.
Ryan half.
Ryan half. Widow's still top right. Widow's top right side.
Widow's nanoed up top, right side.
I'm out of back.
Stay on point. Push the payload. Push the payload.
I'm on payload. Zarya on payload. Zarya on payload. By yourself. Healing. Trying to shoot Widow. Widow half.
Widow's one. Widow's one.
The Diva.
Got healed.
I mean,
I was out of
the
max.
Diva. What?
You wanna amp heal as soon as you have it off cooldown as well.
Losing this.
Widow half.
Widow's one. Widow's
And watch out shooting the Diva bubbles, Zarya bubbles.
one. Widow's one.
You just wait until Diva bubbles are gone.
I was out of max.
Diva, what's going on, dude? Are you losing this fight?
Widow.
Widow. Healing. Trying to shoot Widow.
Okay, so Winston dies.
Widow's one.
The Diva.
Got healed.
I mean,
Yeah, once the Winston and Diva dies, you have no pressure on payload anymore.
Widow.
So that's why
Focus on
the
Widow.
fight is lost. Let's see here.
Healing.
Push the payload.
I'm on payload.
Widow's
Could you
nanoed up
change
top,
it?
right side.
I'm out of back.
Stay on point. Push the payload. Push the payload. Widow's nanoed up top, right side.
Diva should just play safe here. So Diva suicides, or like she boosts, but she doesn't think of her HP, and that she can't really give up payload. She should instead just line of sight, force enemies to come payload. Winston should also line of sight
I'm out of back.
and get heals.
Stay on point. Push the payload. Push the payload.
I'm on payload. Zarya on payload. Zarya on payload. By yourself.
Yeah, Winston is just walking around in the open, getting shot at. He should be on the same side as Lucio right here, and that's why Winston dies.
come back. Shut down.
What should we do in this type of crossfire? You have Diva, just contest one of them. Hanzo in this case, because he was left side. You have then Winston, you on payload. If Winston also placed his bubble kind of bad, it was like this. Instead it should be on the payload. And you just force them to come to payload. And Diva shouldn't fight with the Hanzo, instead she just blocks the shots. Eats with Matrix and so on.
We're gonna get grabbed. We're gonna get grabbed.
Line one.
Heal. Every 9.
We're gonna get grabbed. We're gonna get grabbed.
You want to be contesting as Lucio right here. And if you can wall ride, you can easily just skip through like this. Doot, doot, and then you hide, crouching right here. That way, Ryan and Zarya, they can't fight and just delay everyone in under the choke. They win if you take the fight in here, because of the snipers.
Rhino 1.
And you really should prioritize getting high ground as Winston and D.Va. So like right here, Winston and D.Va should be on high ground before the Widow peaks. And Widow should be hooking up instead of camping down here, because that's an easy kill for enemy Widow. And then you move up as well. You just wall climb up. Speed, they jump the Widow or Hanzo, get the kill, or at least get them low. Then you drop on enemies, and yeah, Widow flank or Widow pushes up as well, and then fight on payload. This jump is kinda greedy, because he jumps alone. Now he has focus fire from Hanzo, he has enemy Ana, enemy Widow, and D.Va is way too late as well. And since the bubble was used, now they can't take the fight under the bridge.
Payload. Guard.
If you're not winning the battle, man, tell him.
Okay, so this was a Scrim VOD from Drag0n0us.